So right now, some UK drivers are paying more to charge their electric car than they would do if they were filling up with petrol. And I'm not talking about the odd few pence difference. I'm talking about hundreds, sometimes over £1,000 more per year. So if you're currently thinking about going electric, but are genuinely worried about getting financially boxed in by charging costs, this investigation is specifically for you, because today I'm about to show you what's really happening with EV charging prices in 2025, expose the new traps that are costing drivers, and give you the exact strategies to drive electric without breaking the bank. So hi, I'm Des from the Electric Oracle, and I'm basically your money saving expert for EVs. So let's start with the facts, shall we? Some charging networks still use confusing pricing strategies. They still advertise rates excluding VAT, and they bury connection fees in the small print. You see, home charging with a standard variable tariff right now costs about 25.73 pence per kilowatt hour, and that's the official off-gen price cap rate. Now let's compare that to public charging. BP Pulse rapid chargers cost about 69 to 79 pence per kilowatt hour. PodPoint fast chargers range from about 40 to 60 pence, and Instavolt, they're charging 85 pence per kilowatt hour. But here's the data that really struck me when I was researching this. For a typical UK driver doing about 7,000 miles per year in a Tesla Model Y, switching from a rapid to public charging to a home EV tariff could save a whopping £1,380 per year. And nope, that's not a typo. It is a family holiday to Spain, or paying off a chunk off your credit card debt. In other words, it's real money. The thing is, since I started investigating EV charging costs, things have changed. Some for the better, and some, well, some are going to make you really angry. So what's your biggest EV charging concern? Drop it in the comments below. Is it the cost? Is it finding chargers? Or getting stranded? I read every single comment. No, full disclosure, I actually made a video about EV charging costs just a few weeks ago that hit a nerve. Hundreds of thousands of you watched it and the response was incredible. But you know what? It's September 2025 now. And even these few weeks, things have changed enough that I felt you deserved a complete update. And if you missed the original investigation, don't worry, I'll link it in the description below. But everything you need to know for 2025 is right here in this video. So let me tell you what's actually changed. So here's the numbers. Since my original investigation, I've discovered that UK drivers are now collectively paying £85 million extra per year because of a tax loophole that nobody talks about. We're officially the 4th most expensive country in Europe for public EV charging. We're paying double what they pay in Portugal. That's double. And the government knows this. They know it's unfair, but they're not fixing it because, well, they're making too much money out of it. Drop scandal in the comments if you think this VAT difference is completely unfair. And let's see how many of you are as outraged as I am. Right, so here's what's changed as of September 2025. So home charging, you got your standard variable rate that's still 25.73 pence per kilowatt hour. EV tariffs, still the hero at 7.9 pence off peak with British Gas, and then 7.5 pence with E.ON next. But whoa, hold on, here's the catch. In October, that standard rate goes up to 26.3 pence. Public charging, here's what's new. Instavolt, still 85 pence standard, but, and this is huge, 54 pence off peak between 10 PM and 6 AM. BP Pulse, 69 pence if you're a subscriber, and 79 pence if you pay as you go. PodPoint is 40 to 60 pence depending on your location, and there's no change there. Tesla superchargers, they're still the cheapest at 28 to 41 pence for Tesla owners. Now let me put this into context for the same Tesla Model Y doing 7,000 miles per year. Home charging with an EV tariff is £660 per year. Public rapid charging is £1,120 per year. That's down from about £1,200, so there's a little improvement there. But petrol for a similar BMW 3 Series is still about £1,000 per year. So yes, EVs can still be cheaper than petrol, but only, it seems, if you can charge at home. So if you're stuck with public charging, you're still paying more than petrol drivers. So the question is, what can you actually do about it? Now look, I'm going to be straight with you. After my original video, I got thousands of messages. Some were success stories and people who managed to slash their charging costs using the strategies that I shared. But I also heard from a lot of people feeling genuinely concerned. And I get it. You made the switch to electric thinking you're doing the right thing for the environment and your wallet, only to discover all these costs that nobody properly explained to you. And that's exactly why I'm here today. I'm not getting paid by any charging network or any car manufacturer. I'm just genuinely frustrated at how consumers are being treated in this marketplace. Right, so what's truly different in 2025? Here are the 5 main changes. First, you got the off-peak revolution. This is genuinely game-changing. Instavolt's 54 pence off-peak rate is 36% cheaper than their standard 85 pence. And you know what, here's what they don't make clear. It's only between 10 PM and 6 AM and you need their app. And for a Tesla Model Y, that 20 to 80% charge drops from 53 to 34 pounds. Still not as cheap as home charging, but we're getting closer. Second, you've got the grant expansion. The government expanded EV grants to 13 models. You can now get £3,750 off a car up to £37,000. But the problem with this, there's only £650 million in the pot at the current rate, and this could run dry by Q1 2026. Third, you got workplace charging growth. 15% of EV owners now have access to workplace charging, saving an average of £500 per year. And some companies are installing chargers through the salary sacrifice scheme. Fourth, you've got infrastructure expansion. 85,000 public charging points in the UK now, and that's up from 30% just from last year. But unfortunately, queue times in rural areas are still averaging about 10 to 15 minutes. Fifth, you got the VAT scandal. Here's what's really making my blood boil at the moment. So you got home charging, that's 5% VAT. Public charging, 20% VAT. If you can't charge at home, you're paying 4 times the tax rate. That's £85 million I mentioned earlier, collectively paid by drivers who don't have driveways. So the problem is, how is that fair? The government is quite literally profiting from people who live in flats. Right, I want you to do something for me here. I'm going to give you the formula to calculate your real annual EV charging costs. So here it is. You've got your annual mileage divided by your car efficiency times by your charging rate. So Tesla Model Y, your mileage is divided by 3.65 times your rate. So 7,000 miles on home charging at 7.9 pence is £152 a year. Same 7,000 miles on public rapid at 71 pence average equals £1,360 per year. That's a £1,210 difference. So drop your annual mileage below. I'll calculate your potential savings and reply to as many as I can. Let's see who could save the most. So now these are my 5 updated money saving strategies for 2025. You're gonna like these. Now look, this is my biggest change since my research began. Instavolt is 54 pence between 10 PM and 6 AM. And some Tesla superchargers offer overnight discounts. BP Pulse is also trialing time of use pricing. So what you need to do is you need to download every major network's app and then check their off-peak windows. If you're a shift worker or you can plan your journeys around these hours, this is huge. So you've got 20% more free charging spots than a few weeks ago. You see, Tesco and Lidl still offer 7 kilowatt-hour charging for 2 to 3 hours while you shop. But I've also found free charging at gyms, shopping centres, and even some pubs, believe it or not. And what you got to do is use ZapMap and filter for the free charging near me. Next, if your employer doesn't offer this, show them the workplace charging scheme. The government covers 75% of installation costs up to £300 per socket, but many companies are doing this through the salary sacrifice scheme. Now this one's time sensitive. The EV charge point grant ends March 2026, and that's £350 towards a home charger. And this covers flats and dedicated parking spaces. And even renters are getting landlord approval because grants cover 75% of it. The only catch, the electric car grant, which is £3,750 off purchases, but the pot could run dry by Q1 2026. So next, we've got £63 million in government funding for on-street charging solutions. This includes £25 million specifically for pilot programs with curbside gully chargers costing 2 pence per mile. So a few councils are installing lamppost chargers around your area. And if you're a renter, check if your local council has applied for this funding. So the impact for the Model Y doing about 7,000 miles, public rapid charging, which is 1,362, off-peak public £861, and home charging just £152. So off-peak alone saves you £500 a year. But here's something that will really make you think. I've been reading the government's long-term EV strategy documents, the ones buried in the Treasury reports that most people never get to see. You see, they know about VAT unfairness. They know it hits people in flats hardest. But they're not fixing it because it's raising £85 million per year, and that's projected to hit £315 million by 2030. So ultimately, they're profiting from housing inequality. And if you're shocked by this, comment profiteering if you think they should fix the VAT difference right now. So let me share some real examples from people who contacted me. A viewer in Surrey added solar panels and home battery charging, and they're now saving £2,178 per year, charging 2 EVs plus powering the house. That's a 3-year payback. Success story number 2, someone in Birmingham got workplace charging through their salary sacrifice. That's saving them £516 per year versus public charging. And the third story, the Oxfordshire pilot programme, 500 homes now have curbside charging at just 2p per mile, and that's cheaper than some home tariffs. I do need to warn you about some scams and failures though. So warning number 1, fake grant companies. People are losing £500 to companies claiming they'll install chargers and handle grants. So always use an approved installer from gov.uk. Warning number 2 is dealer deception. You see, free charging for life promises with hidden restrictions, unlimited charging packages that aren't unlimited. Get everything in writing if you can. Warning number 3, hidden fees source London charges, £1 to £2 just to connect. And networks are burying this in their small print, so always check the total cost before plugging in. And as your money saving expert for EVs, it frustrates me to no end that I have to warn you about this, but there are people exploiting EV buyers, especially those new to electric driving. The EV market feels kind of like the Wild West, charging networks profiting big while drivers pay more than petrol, and the government knowing the tax system is unfair, but they're not fixing it. Dealers making promises they can't keep. And the crazy thing is, in the middle, you've got the ordinary people trying to make good choices, not just for their families, but the environment and other things as well. And that's why I'm here. That's why I spend the hours reading through the government documents and analysing the data. Someone needs to be on your side for this. So what's your biggest EV frustration? Is it cost? Is it access? Is it dealer behaviour? Leave a comment below. And just one more crucial thing, winter is coming and cold weather hammers EV range. So we're talking a 20% range reduction below 5 degrees. You see, the Tesla Model Y drops around 250 miles to 200 miles, but it also affects charging efficiency, effectively increasing costs by 20%. And if you spend £1,000 yearly on charging, winter adds about £200. But what you can do is precondition your battery while plugged in and switch to off-peak tariffs before October's 2% price cap rise. And plan your winter journeys around cheaper off-peak rapid chargers. So I suppose what I'm saying is, don't wait until you're stuck paying 85p per kilowatt hour at motorway service stations. So what I've done is I've created a complete winter EV preparation guide, off-peak times for all major networks, cost calculator spreadsheet, and grant application links, workplace charging templates basically in the works. And if you're interested in that, the free download is in the description. I'm not selling anything, I just want you to be prepared. So here's your consumer rights for EV charging and purchasing. So you got your energy tariffs, fixed EV tariff price changes, give you 14 days to exit penalty. Use right charge for comparisons. Purchase protection. Consumer Rights Act gives you 30 days to reject faulty EVs for a full refund. And don't let dealers tell you otherwise. Charging issues, failed charging sessions that still charge you. You have a right to the refund. And contact your bank for chargebacks if networks don't respond. Grant applications, verify installers through official gov.uk, and approved installers have OZEV authorization. And do you know what? If it sounds too good to be true, well, it probably is. Free charging for life usually has catches. 50% off installation often has hidden costs. I'll continue investigating these practices that harm UK EV buyers. So here's your 30-day action plan. So week 1, download ZapMap and Right Charge apps. Calculate your current costs. Then you want to apply for grants if you're eligible. Don't forget you've got that March 2026 deadline approaching. Then approach employers about workplace charging and switch to off-peak EV tariffs before October price rises. And look, the EV market evolves rapidly. You've got price changes, technologies emerge, regulation shifts. I'll keep investigating these and updating you. And look, if this helped you understand EV charging in 2025, please subscribe and hit the notification bell and share this with anyone that's considering buying an EV. I'm Des from the Electric Oracle, your money-saving expert for EVs, and together we're making electric driving affordable and transparent. And just don't forget, knowledge is power when it comes to your money, so drive smart and charge smarter.